Hey Guinos, welcome back to the cardboard box that I found on the side of the road, which luckily came fully furnished with all of my stuff already inside. Gambling has always been pretty popular, especially among older generations in the United States. However, it's become more common now ever since sports betting was legalized in 2018. Thank goodness that the Supreme Court made sure that we have the freedom to burn all of our money if we so choose. God bless America. To give you an idea of how bad it's gotten, people bet on last year's presidential election. There are entire apps dedicated to betting on things that normally you wouldn't think you could bet on.
Will egg prices go up this month?
I think we'll hit $20.
How many hurricanes do you think we'll have this year?
Kalshi lets you legally trade on anything.
Its meteoric rise into daily life also has to do with the fact that FanDuel and BetMGM are being advertised during every single game without fail. I even get ads for them on YouTube videos. What, am I gonna bet on how much I'm gonna hate this Drew Gooden video I just clicked on? But I don't want to focus on those sorts of apps. If you're curious about that, you should go watch this video by Drew Gooden. What I'd like to focus on is how pervasive gambling has gotten by injecting itself into parts of our lives that you typically wouldn't associate with gambling, at least at a glance. Not in just a literal sense, but more abstractly, how certain hobbies and streams of cash have gotten a lot more speculative and chance-based. Now is the part where I start talking about it. I think something important to get out of the way in order to talk about how betting culture is kind of latched itself onto a lot of things is to talk about speculation. To do this, I'm going to use the lens of crypto and all of that blockchain-based stuff. Cryptocurrency has always been kind of funny to me, especially in recent times. When I was younger, I would hear about Bitcoin as this sort of nebulous thing online that was worth some money and not much else. Now there are tons of coins and collections and platforms with their own coins, all claiming to revolutionize finance for the little man. The little guy that I found. The little guy that I found. In reality, these cryptocurrencies are a lot less like the stocks and bonds that they're advertised as, but more like, at worst a Ponzi scheme, and at best, straight up gambling. Seriously, I genuinely don't know what the argument is every time a coin gets rug pulled or some NFT collection would go platinum. How the hell were you supposed to predict something like that? How is that not just gambling? There's also barely any regulation, so it's like going to a casino where the house can just suddenly decide, actually, all of the money here tonight is ours, and when everybody goes home, the building gets demolished and it's gone. People like to compare this with trading stocks, in that it's just the risk associated with it. On a surface level, I can understand why people make that comparison. There isn't ever really a guarantee that one company will succeed over another, how big your return on investment will be, or even if you'll get one in the first place, and that's kind of like crypto. But unlike coins that exist to be valuable, stocks actually have some value in a company that is doing something. Also, just because the stock market holds an air of legitimacy in the eyes of the public doesn't mean that sometimes it's not just large sums of money being gambled on certain things. Going on a quick tangent, a lot of economic crises have been caused by specifically this. People risking a lot of money on this hot new thing only for them to lose it all once everything levels out. We saw that with the dot-com bubble, and we're seeing it again with the AI bubble. Promise you, I'm not mentioning it again. On a smaller scale, there were a lot of people that were betting on GameStop stock continuing its meteoric rise that it had back in 2021, but I'm not particularly interested in going too in-depth on that, so if you're interested, you should go watch This Is Financial Advice from Folding Ideas. However, one thing I would like to point out is that the attitude caused by seeing people win by multiplying their money is very much like a gambler's. They're not only expecting a return on their investment, but one that is orders of magnitude greater than the one that they put in. Which, to be honest, is pretty obvious. If I could magically turn $5 into $500, I would most definitely be doing that shit. And again, like I said, a lot of people would say that this is speculation, not necessarily gambling. I agree that it's considered speculation, but what I don't agree with is that it's not like gambling. By its nature, it involves taking a risk on some asset raising in price after some unproven and unknown event happens. In some ways, I would say that speculation is like a longer form of gambling, where the returns could be infinitely high based on what happens, but nothing has happened yet. This is pretty much how I view every crypto coin that comes across my feed one way or another. Just another bet to make. If people buy into this, or this coin goes mainstream, you could make a lot of money. However, it's much more likely that you're going to lose money. And just like most forms of gambling at a casino, you've got the house, which in this case would be the crypto trading executives or the insiders that made this new coin. These people aren't against using shady tactics to make sure you can't win. After all, their main goal is making money. Just like how a casino needs more losers than winners in order to function, a crypto coin cannot exist with everybody winning. They need speculators betting on the price go up to hold the bag so they can leave with all the cash. What's strange to me is that a lot of people in the crypto space don't seem to realize that money doesn't appear out of thin air, and people aren't going to want something just because you want it to be worth something. That's the whole point of speculation, and that's why I brought up the stock market bubbles. The people with a ton of money bet all of that money on something that isn't proven to work and people generally may not want. In a lot of cases, crypto is the same. This is just gambling, and all of the waffling about how your digital Ferrari could be worth as much as your actual Ferrari one day is just deflection and trying to make it seem more legitimate than it is. Now, of course, just like with low-risk stocks, there are crypto coins that are successful. However, in their case, they didn't return any product. They just are worth something because. Speculative items that have actually gained some value and somehow retained it, making people believe that it was valuable in the first place, meaning that it's now worth something. And with crypto being able to be traded for actual currency now, maybe one day we'll see the market be more boring and regulated, which is also pretty damn funny to me because I thought the whole point of crypto was that it was unregulated, but now ever since all of these rug pulls and bad investments have happened, people have asked the government for more regulation. They want all of the reward, but with none of the risk. Guys, it's gambling. Look, I just want to play slots. I just want to play slots, but I keep losing all of my money. Anyways, with all of that out of the way and the groundwork laid, bars, by the way, we can talk about something important now, and that's children's card games. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty clear just by looking at me that I am a fan of Pokemon cards, and I've been playing the actual card game casually since about last September. I hadn't been into it since I was a teenager because of the resellers cornering the market back in 2021 and 2022, but last year, cards were actually easily available and cheap. Me and my partner made dates out of buying them and trading them and building decks of our favorites. In fact, I've got my deck right here, which isn't optimized for the meta because I'm not a fucking dork. So anyways, I put the deck list in the description in case you're curious. We were excited for a set that came out last January that you've probably heard of, called Prismatic Evolutions. It has been impossible to get any cards after that set released. Pokemon cards are now being locked behind counters, it's one purchase per person, and the markup is unfathomably high. All of this for children's cardboard. I'm bringing this up not just because I'm mad at resellers once again ruining one of my hobbies. Go watch that video, by the way. But because this is another case of speculation pretty much becoming gambling. Of course, the parallels have been made before about the hobby itself, but if you're a fan and you like collecting the cards or playing the game, if you open a pack, you're always gonna find something to be happy about. Unlike with slots or crypto like I talked about earlier, you're not risking getting nothing as long as you like the thing that you are buying. I've been a fan of Pokemon cards ever since I was a kid. I just thought it was fun to have cards with my favorite little freaks on them. I used to have a deal with my friends back in New York that if one of us got another person's favorite Pokemon on a Pokemon card, we would just give it to them because it was fun. It was fun to collect and trade them. My point being that if you're in it for fun, you will find the fun, and you don't really risk losing anything by doing it. So in my opinion, as a hobby, it's not really gambling. On the other hand, these speculators and resellers are risking something. If they open up cards to pull and resell valuable cards, there's a pretty substantial risk that they will not be pulling Fat Gay Pikachu. If they're just buying up packs to resell at a markup, they're betting on the price going up, being able to sell the stock that's dwelling alongside them in their basement. I actually had an experience with one of these people at one of those new Pokemon vending machines. I saw a guy waiting for the machine to get restocked by one of the workers there, and I figured I didn't have anything else better to do, so I waited next to him. I tried to make some small talk about how, oh, you know, it's so cool to finally see all these because we haven't been able to get them for so long. You know, what are you looking forward to? What are the sets you're trying to do? What decks are you making? Stuff like that. Just hobby small talk. He pretty much just brushed me off, which, fine, I understand. Some people are socially anxious, so I just left it alone. Fast forward like 30 minutes, a line has formed, people are talking about Pokemon, excited to get the cards, the machine is finished being stocked, and this fucker buys all of the cards. He bought all the new sets, put them in the bags that he brought, and he ruined the excitement of everybody there. These people are actively betting that they're going to make a profit by stealing people's joy. Worse, kids' joy. Even worse, my joy. And we just can't stand for that. Now I'm back to square one, where I'm forced to not engage with one of my favorite hobbies because of speculators, and it was one of the ones that was relatively cheap. But I feel even worse for the kids that won't be able to play the game or collect the cards like I did when I was their age. They won't be able to trade with people just based on the virtue of I like that card and you like this card, because speculators have ruined that too. All of the trading that I've tried to get into online is based off of monetary value now. You have to get ahead now. I only trade at 80% value. I come out on top. Dude, you are not fucking GameStop. You cannot pay pennies on the dollar. Speaking of GameStop, they've done quite a bit to make a lot of money off of this new speculative culture by selling all of their Pokemon cards above MSRP. They know for a fact it's gonna sell because resellers are betting on the price continuing to go up, and the Pokemon bubble hasn't popped yet. They win either way. It's disgusting, and it speaks to a growing greed in too many parts of our society that so many people are willing to ruin a hobby for children in order to make a quick buck. If you were wondering, there's also an app that takes advantage of this that you've probably got ads for on YouTube called Whatnot. You can pay for other people to open up the pack of cards and then send you the cards after they open them up, ruining most of the fun of the pack of cards for 5 times the price. Not only is the app just full of people who won't send the cards after you buy them, but you should never buy a pack of cards that someone opens away from you because it could just be altered. They just put all the garbage they didn't want in there, and so you don't get anything you want in the first place. I feel like the worst part of all of this is that if they don't get the payday that they want from these slips of cardboard, they're just gonna throw them away. Not even the bare minimum of selling them on the cheap to a card shop or even donating them to a Goodwill. They will just fucking toss them. It just feels so wrong to treat this stuff like crypto trading. They pump the value of certain cards in order to make their community of investors happier. Even cards that are relatively common, cards that should be easy to pull, they like pumping the value of them so they can get more money on TCG Player. We're gonna play a game real quick. I'm gonna read a bunch of tweets about Pokemon cards and crypto, and you're gonna have to guess which is which. So many dum-dums thought they were cooking and bought this blank at $80 to $100. Stop watching that YouTube TikTok poison telling y'all about the next big blank. Finally, a price increase I can understand. Better get them now before the blank. Third, if you swung and missed on blank today, just know you didn't whiff as hard as the guy who really thought he had a blank to pump in the blank. That one sounds really bad after I took the things out, actually. Alright, so which of these are about Pokemon cards, and which of these are about crypto? I'll give you 3 seconds. I tricked you! They're actually all about Pokemon cards. If you're watching this video, you're probably smart as hell, and good looking, too. So you'll listen to me when I say that we should reject these people from hobby spaces. They don't want to be there for the fun of it, or for the culture. They're betting on it becoming a lucrative thing for them. It's gambling on turning your fun into desperation for profit. Which is why I was personally not that big of a fan of one of the newer reseller crazes, Labubus. I can't say that with a straight fucking face. Like Pokemon cards, blind boxes have been compared to gambling already. You buy a box with the knowledge of what could be in there, and it's based on chance to determine what you get. But again, like with Pokemon cards, if you're buying a blind box just for what's inside, you'll likely be okay with whatever result, even if you'd prefer one over another. The problem is how it's turned into something exactly like everything else I've talked about in this video, if you were paying attention, hopefully. If you weren't paying attention, I take it back. You are ugly as hell. It's all speculative, specifically with Labubus. Still can't fucking say it. This past summer, it was a suddenly huge craze that seems to have mostly died down, but when it was at its peak, it was more popular than the Pokemon card reselling, and a lot worse. I don't want to lecture you guys on the speculation aspect again. I feel like I've bored you enough with that already, but I did want to talk about the clear want that people have now for the dopamine fix that comes from these chance-based products, and the consumerism that follows. Gambling becomes an addiction because of the hit of dopamine that you get from taking a risk at the chance of a reward. It's so addicting because they've made it seem like it just takes one play, one chance to hit the big time. This mixes with the over-monetization of hobbies and pastimes, creating things like the Pokemon card craze, the Labubu craze. Too many aspects of life become gambling in order to make money. Suddenly, the fun of a blind box or a gacha capsule becomes a return on investment. Not something fun for fans of a property, or playing cards in a game for kids, or a knick-knack to put on a shelf. The illusion of risk becomes real risk. This, I feel, has led to the death of casual collecting. Honestly, collecting Pokemon cards or Labubus or any other blind box is innocuous. It's all about what others do with their money in order to make them happy. People like these gamblers and speculators prevent them from being able to do that. I've said it before, but when I was younger and I just had a little bit of extra money, I would stop by the register and grab a pack of cards. This was just when I was collecting them, before I even knew how to play the game. I don't know if many kids are gonna get that opportunity, with Pokemon cards or with anything else, due to greed. Truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of blind boxes to begin with. I don't like playing Russian roulette with plush toys, where I could either get a character I like, or a very extremely bad man. Seriously, whose idea was this? Why would I want a plush of this guy? But the fact is that companies and speculators are taking advantage of the dopamine hit that we get from taking a chance. Even this Superman figure that you know you're going to get because it's the only one is a blind box with "Find the Chase" on the back. What the hell is the chase? The same figure but you spray painted it gold? A different figure? What if I didn't fucking want that? Why would you show me the figure that I do want, but there's a chance that it's actually not? Here you go, sir. The one hamburger that you ordered. Thank you, man. I really appreciate this, but I couldn't help but notice the paper on the plate as well. What do you mean? Yeah, I was just wondering why there's a blacked out hamburger with a question mark on it that says "Find the Chase"? Oh, that's the special Chase hamburger. There's a chance that every single hamburger could be that one. It'll kill you. What? Why? Why would you do that? I'm not gonna eat this, man. What? Come on, you have to. I made that for you. Please? Well, I guess I will. Sorry, I had genuinely no idea how to segue out of that. I understand that the title is somewhat hyperbole. Not everything is gambling, but I feel like a lot of things have dipped into risk and speculation. It's disconcerting how people see children's toys or just plain old hobbies as investments now. It damages the things that we do to have fun in life. And that's where I've got to ask, where does the fun part start in all of these gambling hobbies? Is every part of your life so focused on making money that you're forgetting to live? Is the possibility of a $100 card or a $50 return on your Labubu really that important that you have to ruin the joy of a child or hell, even an adult? Of course everyone wants to find a way to get rich quick, but you are stealing joy in order to do so. They're turning fun hobbies made to connect with people into slots. Tech bros have reinvented the stock market multiple times now, with most of them either being, again, Ponzi schemes or gambling. Not that the actual stock market is doing much better right now with all of the billionaires betting on AI. I'm sorry, I know. I said it again. People bet on the fucking election, man. It scares me how disconnected people are with reality, how deep this betting culture has ingrained itself in our society. I hope that you all watching understand what I'm trying to say, seeing as I've come up with a lot of examples to show. You know that's how a video works, right? We live in a rough economic time. A lot of people struggle to pay for rent, they wonder when they're going to eat next, and companies have taken advantage of that to try and tell people that this is the way. All it takes is one bet, all it takes is one good hit. Pop Mart is making a ton of money regardless of if you're a reseller or not. TCG Player benefits from people pumping the price of Pokemon cards, so does eBay, so does GameStop. Why else would they raise the price above MSRP? What the fuck are you doing, GameStop? I have a few pieces of advice. Reselling is not a hobby. It is a shitty side hustle. Crypto isn't reliable, even the big ones, but it's your money. You are allowed to gamble if you want to. Please, just find something in your life that makes you feel happy and fulfilled. So what if it doesn't make you money or have an astronomical chance of making you a $1 million return? Read a book, learn to garden, do something enriching with your life. Anyways, Guilos, I'm done preaching for the day. I've got to get out of this cardboard box seeing as it was only temporary, but I have a hunch that the next place you'll see me in will likely be the exact same.
Stepping at your, keep stepping at your own pace, keep stepping at your, keep stepping at your own pace, stepping.
Well, I'm not just gonna waste it.